Hi, this is Christy with Sapphire Skies Farm, and I just came out to the garden to plant into my second year straw bales. And I thought I'd give you kind of an idea of what it looks like inside of a second year straw bale. So for those of you who've never heard of straw bale gardening, you need to get a straw bale, not a hay bale, and condition it for 2 weeks. And what that means is every other day you'll add nitrogen to your soil. Please look for videos on how to do this. Do not plant straight into a straw bale. It needs to turn into compost using the nitrogen, because with compost you need nitrogen and carbon, and so that's like alive stuff and dead stuff working together to turn into great soil. And I will go over and show you my first year bales and my bales that I'm just conditioning right now. But what I want to show first is the second year bales, okay? So here's a row. I had tomatoes here last year. I planted my winter crops here. They're all on their way out, except I'll keep my kale as long as I can. I'm about to plant corn here, a whole Three Sisters garden. And then over here, hi Ducky Duck. This is Donald here. Over here is where I'm currently, these are my Romanesco broccolis that I've already cut the heads off of, and I'm pulling them out right now. And then in the middle here I had potatoes. And in the summer, what did I have here? Green beans, melons. I've also grown peas in this soil. So this has all brought me a lot of food so far. Like I said, I brought these bales in February of last year. So this is second year bales. I'm about to use them and plant in these. So over here you can see this is some straw that I haven't really disturbed before. I wanted to just kind of separate it out and show you what it looks like inside here. So, this all used to be straw, and it's broken down and turned into some soil. And you can still see little tiny remnants of that soil, but it's really just some great soil to work with. So I make sure that I haven't planted anything in this soil that I'm replanting in here. So like I said, last year this was my melons and green beans. So this year it's going to be peppers and eggplants, onions, basil, cilantro, things like that. And then all of this over here, this was all tomatoes and basil and cilantro and that kind of stuff last year. And this year it will be all my Three Sisters garden, which is corn, green beans, and squashes. And then let's go ahead and go over here. This is also a second year bale. This is Romanesco broccoli that hasn't quite come all the way to a head. I did some succession planting here, which means I planted some first over there, and then I came back in and planted this in the second round. This is potatoes also in the middle. So I just wanted to show you the soil in here with stuff still growing in it. This all used to be straw bales, right? So pull it back, and so I must have pulled up a little roots, but you get the idea. This is all really good dirt that's just broken down over time. Now, because I did potatoes in the middle, I did throw a little bit of potting soil on top, because potatoes do well if you mound them, as they grow up, you put more dirt on top of it, So let's go ahead and turn around and see my first year bales. So these are all my first year bales. They've been conditioned and the plants have been in them probably a couple weeks. I started these all from seed in seed starters and then transplanted these tomatoes. I have some green beans growing. So these if I pull it apart, it's easier to pull apart than regular garden soil. And I have a duck that's gonna try to eat my toes right now. Hi, Donald. I know, you think my toes taste great. Okay, anyway, so coming back here. This is some good straw that's just been broken down. Barely any soil in there yet, but it's still got some nutrients that are able to grow food in. Okay, and then this is more first year bales. These actually, I planted these ones probably, I might be getting close to 2 months now. What are we right now? April? February, March, April. Yeah, probably 2 months. And over here is where I have bales so I bought these in like October, and so they got a lot of rain and whatever through the winter. I'm in San Diego, so our winters aren't intense. Some of them were touching the ground, so they have like some mulch in them, but they will break down just like the other bales. So I'm on like day 3 maybe of conditioning, maybe 4. But I'm just going to show you this one that looks like the freshest bale. It probably wasn't touching the ground. It probably wasn't on the top, but so if I try to dig it open, oh, I can't even get in there. You see that? And by the time these bales have been conditioned for 2 weeks, I'm able to really like stick my hands in there, pull it apart, get plants in there easily. And over time, I kind of have to like push them down because as they break down, the air pockets inside of each of the straws starts to break down, and it all like kind of compacts, or it needs you to help it compact, you know what I mean? Anyways, so that was just a quick little glimpse on some straw bales. I have some over here that I started earlier. Let me show those to you. As I walk over there, I'll just tell you about my tomatoes here. I did succession planting on my tomatoes. So these are like a few weeks old, then a week older than that. I have not come in and pruned these yet. Then a week older than that is this row here. I have pruned, and the row in the back is the oldest. I just did that just because that's what I had time for at the time. And it's gonna work out great because I'll get tomatoes. I'll start with getting some tomatoes, then I'll just start getting more and more and more and more tomatoes as we go through. Anyway, so these are the bales. These ones I probably started conditioning in December. So they have actually, I already grew stuff in this one here. This one is just passion fruit that's like laying down on there, but it is not growing inside that bale. But like my strawberries, they're doing great. I have them propped up on forks so they don't touch the ground and have bugs get to them. I had cauliflower over here. Anyway, so these ones are a little bit older than the other ones. I'll just give you kind of a glimpse inside there. They are also starting to turn into soil. And as it breaks down, this is nutrient rich for the plants that are growing in it. I'm about to put peanuts in all these bales between the strawberries. And so you can really see how they've like started to sink down. If I push on them, they'll push down even more and get more dense. Pretty exciting. All right, there you go. Second year, newest bales that are already conditioned and planted in. More second year bales. Over there are the first year bales, and back there is the very last group that are just being conditioned now. Last year was my first year starting with straw bale gardening. I've been gardening for it's probably been about 9 years now, maybe 8. Don't quote me on that. But the reason why I started with straw bales was because we had moved to this property in December. And as we all know, it takes time to like unpack and feel settled inside the house. And I really wanted to make sure that I got a great harvest on all of this land. We're on a half an acre, which is really hard to come by in San Diego. Especially because we're like in town in our suburb of San Diego. Anyway, so I didn't want to wait for like building beds, attaching hardware mesh, buying all the soil, bringing it all in. Like there's just a lot of manual labor, as we all know, to gardening. And I couldn't just plant in the ground because we have really, really bad gophers. When we moved here, you could just see the whole ground was just covered in gophers, little holes. And as we walked across it, you could like, your feet would like sink in. So we knew it was a real problem. Plus our soil is also clay. So once water hits it, it doesn't drain at all. And most garden plants want well draining soil. So I had learned about gardening with straw bales, and I realized that all I really had to do was pull in some straw bales and put them wherever I wanted. And it wasn't permanent. Like if I got a year into this and realized that my best sun is on the other side of the property, I didn't want to have like permanent beds on this side of the property. The only other real thing you have to bring in is some fertilizer, which I mean, you should be fertilizing your garden regularly anyways, so with this you just start fertilizing at the beginning and do a little as time goes by. So that's why it's worked out great for me. I do have some raised beds on the property, but they're just the ones that were already here. And I've done a little bit of like Jimmy rigged. Let me show you these ones. So I just threw like some bricks around and threw some soil in the middle. These are plants that will grow year after year, so I don't want them in bales because bales break down over time, and then I'll have to replace the bales. Same again here. This is artichoke. So artichoke and asparagus are both plants that do better as time goes by, and they will do well year after year, where things like broccoli and cauliflower and potatoes, once you've grown, you pull it out and you put something else in there. So straw bales would not be a good fit for asparagus and artichoke, but it's great for things like tomatoes, broccoli, basil, cilantro, corn. I don't do corn in first year. Second years are broken down, that they're closer to the soil level and they won't be at risk for toppling over as much. I'm going to go ahead and I have T-posts in. I will catch the, I have like wires going across the T-posts, and I will kind of like wrap around the T-posts all the way around all of the corn and wrapping back to make sure that my corn doesn't fall over in the wind. But definitely wouldn't try corn in a first year bale because it's just not going to be strong enough to hold up a whole corn stalk. Just showing here how I have T-posts all over the garden and wires going across. As things grow up, I add more wires to the T-posts, wrapping from one side to the other side and back. No, just one way, wrapping from one side to the other side. And that helps to hold my plants up. So let me show you with my tomatoes since I've got them tied up already. So here, so far I already have 1 and 2 wires going across, and the top one, just because I had, oh, this is where I had corn last year. So these T-posts, this wire and the bottom wire were in. I've added the third wire now, but this helped my corn keep it from falling over. But I didn't have straw bales, okay? So I did corn straight in the ground last year. So here I'm just showing all the way across here. I have T-posts going all the way across. All of my tomatoes will grow up here this year, and I will tie them as they go up. As they get taller, I'll add like about every foot, I'll add another wire going across and tie them up to the wires to keep them from toppling over. Because we don't really want a tomato touching the ground and letting critters get it or allowing it to rot out on the soil, on the ground. So anyways, that's my straw bale garden for this part of the year so far. Really just wanting to show everyone what it looks like as the bales break down over time. I just happened to be lucky enough to have them at different stages and thought I would share. This is Christy with Sapphire Skies Farm. I hope you had a chance today to get outside, get your hands dirty, and enjoy some sunshine. Bye.